How can we say that this policy will increase security and efficiency when thousands of riders who use the T every day will now have to fear for their lives and for their safety? Are we really going to create a situation where people will go to jail for not paying $2.50?
When I did canvass downtown this week, not a single person I spoke with thought this was a good idea or would feel safer with it in place.
If you go to the T station and you ask people, like we all have, I don't know if you all have yet, if you ask them, then obviously this is not well received by anyone. I've spoken to conservatives who know that this is a bad idea.
I personally have had my Connect card fail 3 times when I still had a remaining cash balance. I was unable to swipe in, unable to pay, and therefore I had no proof. When I called Port Authority's customer service to ask about the failed Connect card, I was told that just happens sometimes. Connect cards fail. We have an imperfect system.
There is a very real potential for tragedies to occur, and Port Authority has no accountability system in place whatsoever. I sat with Chief Porter myself, and your accountability system is him. You report to Port Authority, he reviews it with a team, and that is it. As I looked at your faces while people spoke about the very real negative possibilities, I wonder if you either, 1, don't believe these things can occur, or 2, simply don't care. The fact that you are choosing to arm these officers speaks to the fact that you must foresee that there can be some type of problematic interaction. Otherwise, you would not have a problem with having them disarmed. But it seems as though you don't believe that when it's coming from the community.
I think it's critical to point out that the Port Authority has not really provided any data available to the public about fare evasion, and especially for a policy that is this draconian, I think that the onus is on the Port Authority to describe why this type of action is necessary. By not providing these data, the Port Authority has emphatically not made a case for why something like this is necessary. It's difficult to see the proposed policy as anything other than a hasty solution in search of a problem.
Our university students, our high school students, and all of the students within Pittsburgh Public Schools use Port Authority Transit to get to school every day and to after-school activities and weekend activities. With this in mind, I respectfully ask the board to consider if you are really interested in implementing a system in which students face criminal charges because they forgot their bus pass at home or it's at the bottom of their backpack 1 or 2 days out of the school year.
My work kids, they have autism, special needs, autism, intellectual disabilities, things of that nature, and they can become very anxious and will not understand exactly what's going on when they are approached by a Port Authority police officer. Many of them carry cards on them, and on that card it states some of the symptoms of their disability, and it's for people to know, so they can give it to people to let them know that they are autistic. So this is the reason why they exhibit certain behaviors. My concern is that one of my work kids will be killed because they go to reach for that card. I don't want to see my work kids on the news dead because of a $2.75 fare. I think that's ridiculous.
And this policy will result in so many people who rely on public transit living in fear of using it.
If armed Port Authority police are conducting these checks, there will be racial profiling, and it is only a matter of time until someone is hurt or killed.
Random checks are never entirely objectively random. David Harris, whom many of you may know, faculty scholar and professor at University of Pittsburgh School of Law, is considered a national authority on police procedure and racial profiling in the U.S. His study and work involving implicit bias, the automatic unconscious association between a group and a trait or action, suggests that in spontaneous situations, even the best intentioned and well-trained of officers can demonstrate bias in their thinking and decision-making.
And I also want to tell you a story about Lucia Jimenez in Vancouver, who after working a night shift in the Vancouver hotel, she rode the train home on December 1st of 2013. And approximately at 10 a.m., the transit police boarded her train and stopped her because she couldn't provide proof of payment, and racial profiling escalated the situation and ICE was called in. And the cop said, "I understood that she had an accent when I spoke with her, and with that, I could tell she wasn't originally from Canada." 3 weeks after he turned Jimenez over for a deportation, she committed suicide in custody. So I ask you, is this really what y'all want?
I can guarantee you that most of these stops and questions will be happening not in Upper St. Clair, not in Mount Lebanon, but in Beachview and downtown. Using fear and intimidation isn't going to make people pay their fare. It's going to make people not use your services. I work with hundreds of people. Many of them use this service. I'll tell them not to.
I want to begin by saying that I'm an immigrant, one who came to the United States as a child with my family in 1989 as a refugee from the USSR, and now a naturalized citizen. And I mention this because those Pittsburghers who suffer as a result of this proposed fare enforcement policy include immigrants and refugees, especially but not limited to undocumented immigrants, who in many cases come to our city as refugees fleeing violence, danger, and deprivation. Though it may not be the intention of this policy to target or harass immigrants, expert analysis and common sense indicate that the actual consequences will include the harassment and persecution of immigrants as well as people of color generally. Despite no existing protocol of cooperation between Port Authority police and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, in reality it will be easy for ICE to exploit the proposed protocol to detain and deport Pittsburghers.
No one wants to deport anyone or break up families over a fare payment issue. This topic is a personal one for me because my parents came to this country as immigrants and in fact as refugees, and I came to understand how tenuous their lives had been. When it comes to fare enforcement, good alternatives to the criminal justice system are available, such as turning over the collection of unpaid fares to a bill collector.
So to be clear, because I know a lot of people will try to twist what we're doing around here, no one is suggesting that Port Authority not enforce fares, but there are ways to do this that don't needlessly endanger people or physically endanger people or their peace of mind. Philly does it on their regional rail system. They do not have armed people checking fares. People do go around and check fares. San Francisco does this now, and Portland does it.
We're telling you what we want and what we don't want. So you should listen to us. And if you don't, we'll keep showing up. And I see some dead-eyed stares, and I see people bored, and I understand that this isn't particularly fun for you. I'm a single mom, and I showed up because it's important to me. So please listen to us. And again, if you don't, we'll keep showing up, and we'll keep showing up. Thank you.
Has this board not been paying attention to what's been going on in this country for the last few years regarding police abuse? It's been going on for decades, but due to the use of cameras, body cams, people's cell phone cameras, dash cams, white Americans have become aware of what black Americans have known for decades, that the police abuse their power. Time and again, we have seen confrontations initiated by the police in which unarmed civilians have done nothing wrong, or at worst were guilty of infractions like a broken taillight or selling cigarettes, and end up dead. It happens overwhelmingly to young black men, but it happens to a lot of other people as well. This is why we have a Black Lives Matter movement in this country, and need one. In short, I want to say that if this policy goes into effect, the tragedies it will lead to will be the responsibility of this board.